the magic of Cassandro is that he is authentic and he's true to himself. He lives on his own terms. He's a out proud gay man. He's never, he's owned who he is. And I think the lesson and the moral of the story is to be who you are and love yourself, and the world will come along with you.
But I've been doing real fights since a couple of years ago.
They always cast us around.
They don't see nothing else.
You ever thought about being an exotico?
Thank you for having me. I would like to start by asking you, I love how you portray this story. I'm Mexican, obviously, so, and I love Gael as well. I wanted to ask you, what did this kind of format, having a film done, allow you to do that maybe a documentary wouldn't have allowed you to do?
Oh my God, so much. I mean, I get to create a world from scratch. I get to rebuild this world of lucha libre and the Mexican border and El Paso and Juarez. And in a film, everything on the frame, I get to create. The color of the drapery, the color of the walls, all of that, with an amazing production designer, JC Molina, and an amazing DP, Matthias. And it just was, it was like being free to build and create something with no restrictions. It's a wonderful process, filmmaking.
Honestly, I loved it because I know Mexico can be very folkloric and lucha libre as well. So I wanted to ask you, where was that fine line where you knew you were not gonna make a cartoon out of it? Like, were there like any limits you knew you couldn't cross to make it as accurate as possible?
I think that the world of lucha libre is colorful enough. Where I realized at a certain point that I didn't have to make it over the top. It would be campy, but that it was the emotional relationships that were the most important. It was the relationship between Cassandro and his mother that was the most, and they were quiet. To contrast the fights and the spectacle of it, they were quiet, emotional moments. They were powerful, and that back and forth is what really worked so beautifully, because at the core of it, it's about our yearning for love and acceptance.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually wanted to ask you this because, at the beginning of the film, we see Cassandro and los excéntricos, not necessarily as a good thing. Do you think that maybe throughout his story, he sort of changed the way as society we see that?
I think Cassandro absolutely changed the way you see exoticos, because he's the first exotico to win, to overcome this sort of caricature, and make he won the audience over slowly, in his film, because he didn't give up. He stayed true to who he was, and he won the audience over. And it's great to see that. It's great to see the audience go from calling him names and jeering at him to loving him.
Lucha libre.
Para que la gente me siga oyendo.
Soy libre.
I kept thinking about this when I was watching the film. It has to be nerve-wracking to know that the person you're telling the story about is going to actually see it and give you some notes. How was it like for you the first time you actually showed the final product, and what makes you the proudest of it?
The first time I showed it to Cassandro, it was the most incredible experience, probably one of the most incredible screenings of my life, because first of all, Cassandro had a stroke 2 weeks before we started shooting, so he was in a wheelchair. He's now he can walk with a cane, but he's in a wheelchair. He was unable to speak. He lost his ability to speech. Like, he can speak, but his ability to talk. And so it was a very emotional thing. I showed it to him in El Paso in a big theater, but with an audience of one, and it was beautiful. And he was standing up and doing the moves while Gael's doing the moves on screen. He was mimicking the moves on screen and screaming. And when his mother came on, he screamed, "Mama, mama, oh, mama." It was so beautiful. And I was crying, and was just a beautiful experience, and he loves the film, and he's been all now to Sundance and in New York, and he was the Grand Marshal of the Mexican Day Parade this past weekend, the big Mexican parade in New York City, and the opening night of the Latino Film Festival, and he's loving it.
I wasn't there with you, but I was also crying while watching the film. I have to say that, yeah, the mother-son relationship is just amazing. And, you know, one thing I really love about this character, or this person more than anything, is that he is really, you know, all the cultural things that we are surrounded by as Mexicans in just one person. How much did you have to get immersed in all, you know, like these references and these telenovelas and these characters that we have here?
I had to learn everything. I immersed myself because I made a documentary, you know, I immersed myself in Cassandro's world, you know, of telenovelas and really border culture. Border culture is really important. And really important in the storytelling, and that because Cassandro lives right on the border, and the border wall is his backyard. The real Cassandro too lives right on the border. So I wanted to recreate that you see Mexico from his window. You know, you see the wall. You know, you see the wall, and it's always there, looming over you. The helicopters flying back and forth along the parade, you know, the border. And you feel that the Mexican community is on the wall in El Paso, and I wanted to really recreate that and that culture. So it was really important.
Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for this film. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are a witness to history. The birth of a legend.